Last year, hundreds of thousands of Americans gathered at the Lincoln Memorial for an event called Restoring Honor. Some of you may have been there. It may have changed you. I know that it changed me. In August of last year, I challenged Americans to live a life of honesty and integrity. This year, I have a new challenge today. I ask you to turn your eyes to Israel and restore courage. I have been asked by the press over and over again, what is it you think you can teach Israel about courage? My answer is simple: nothing. They asked me then, so then why would you come to Israel? Because I say, in Israel, you see courage. In Israel, there is more courage in one small square mile than in all of Europe. In Israel, there is more courage in one soldier than in the combined and cold hearts of every bureaucrat at the United Nations. In Israel, you can find people who will stand against incredible odds, against the entire tide of global opinion, just because it's right, just because it's good, and just because it's true. Israel is not a perfect country. No country is perfect. But it tries, and it is courageous. Today, the world needs courage more than ever before. We need it because whether you live in Jerusalem or in London or in Athens, Madrid, or Washington, D.C., you know, we all know, the world's changing just a little bit. The world is burning, and whatever we thought would never change, whatever we've grown to think is solid and strong and durable, is under siege. You don't really have to be a prophet to know that things aren't really going that well. The threats are mounting, and evil is growing. Darkness is falling. Far too many politicians are just too willing to look away. The shapeshifters are working. They have turned day into night and good into evil. They have changed the very meaning of our words. In New York, the so-called leaders of the world are talking about human rights and the abuses of human rights. But what they do is abuse the very meaning of the phrase human rights. Human rights, they say, but who will they focus on? Libya? Syria? North Korea? No. They will condemn Israel, tiny Israel, democratic Israel, free Israel, Israel which values human life above all other things. As usual, Israel is the exception. The world is adrift. The world is confused. In Europe, the great nations of the past, Greece, Italy, Spain, Britain, they're all falling into violence. We have raised up a generation who cannot tell the difference between what they owe society and what society owes them. They interviewed the rioters in England, and they asked them, why are you stealing tennis shoes and televisions? Because, the rioters said, because we deserve them. We may think, oh, how different is today's youth. But they are merely imitating their parents. They have seen how the world reacts to evil. Indifference. They watch. They learn. They imitate. What one generation tolerates, the next generation embraces. When the Fogel family was killed in their sleep, the world barely took note. The grand councils of earth condemn Israel, while across the border, Syria slaughters her own people, her own citizens dead in the streets, and the grand councils of the world remain silent. It is no wonder why the children of the world are setting their streets on fire. These international councils, these panels of so-called diplomats, condemn Israel not because they actually believe that Israel needs to be corrected. They do so because it's convenient. Everybody does it. In some countries, it's a crime not to condemn Israel. The diplomats are afraid. They're cowards. And so they submit. They surrender to falsehood. The truth matters not. To the keepers of conventional wisdom, the sacrifice of the truth, that's just a small price to pay. What difference does it make if we beat up a little bit on little Israel? These are the actions of the fearful and cowards. But I stand here to tell you this today. Fear is the pathway to surrender. And to overcome fear, we just need one thing: courage. Truth and courage. It is hard to do. It all started here, the throne of God. When the world turns its back on Israel and the Jewish people, the world turns its back on human rights. Without the Jewish people, humanity would never know that every single individual life has dignity, that every single life is sacred, that God names every star and knows every soul. That was God's message to Abraham. That was God's message to Moses. That is the message of the Jewish people to the world, and by their very existence, they teach it to us every single day. Today, I asked you to join me here. I asked you to join me here so I could propose a new path. A path led by you. A path led by the individual, linked arm in arm all over the globe with other like-minded individuals. A path where governments and so-called human rights organizations get out of the way and allow people to come together as individuals to solve their problems and worship God. Some will ask, and they'll mean it. They'll be sincere. They'll say, that's a great thing, that's great, but maybe we should leave that work up to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Maybe we should just leave that work up to the, the well-connected or somebody. There's got to be people who have a better education. How about the well-heeled or the politician, the political leaders? Hey, let's just listen to the media and allow the media to tell us the truth. I ask you, whom do you trust to do this sacred work? Who will protect your rights better? A king, a president, or you? Who will protect the truth? A reporter, a producer, or you? Who will protect your children and teach them to seek the truth? A textbook committee? An educational bureaucrat? Or you? Did a commission of men stop the Holocaust? Did a committee of Congress stop Jim Crow? In each case, the work was done by individuals who would not abide by the convenient lies. They saw injustice and called it out and called evil by its name. They saw in their own nations, wage war against a group of people, and they said, not in my name. They didn't wait. They didn't wait for the conventions of society to catch up to God's ancient laws. They pushed, they pressed, and in the end, they were the victors. That spirit lives within each and every one of us. I ask you today, no matter where you are, if you are sitting here, if you are just a few miles away where thousands are gathered, or if you are on the other side of the planet watching alone in your home, I ask you today to link arms with me, link arms with others, link arms, stand with courage, and walk behind the pillar of fire. You will see evil rear its head. We see the signs again. The swastikas are on display in the streets. This week they were holding up signs in Cairo that said, quote, "We are building the gas chambers." They dress their children in suicide belts. They are given the choice, and they choose death. We are given the choice. Let us choose life. Let us have the courage to say, no more incitement, no more threats, no more terror, no more talk of genocide, no more hate, no more fear, no more lies. Let me speak directly to them. We read your signs. We listen to your speeches. We know you say what you mean and mean what you say. But we put you on notice today. So do we. And here's the best news. We're gonna win. We win because while their conviction is rooted in hate, our conviction is rooted in love, and love always wins in the end. When Naomi and her daughters-in-law lost their husbands, Naomi knew that their future would be far brighter if they went back home, went back to their families and started again. But her daughter-in-law, Ruth, would not have it. She said, "Entreat me not to leave thee, or return from following after thee. Whither thou goest, I go. Where thou lodge, I will lodge. Thy people will be my people. Thy God will be my God. Where thou diest, I will die, and there I shall be buried." I say today that if the world decides it must know who will stand with Israel, who will stand with the Jewish people, so they know exactly who to condemn later, who the target is, let them know this: condemn me, target me. I will stand with Israel. I will stand with the Jewish people. And if they want to round all of us up again, I will proudly raise my hand and say, take me first.